So today on Between Two Thrones,
I love that name.
it's you get it? Two thrones between
And between two ferns.
but you do know the reference.
Oh, of course I do. Of course I do.
I actually the first podcast we ever did, I named it Between Two Thrones before I even knew what Between Two Ferns was. With that Zach Galifianakis.
Yep, Zach Galifianakis.
And the first one I watched was with Hillary Clinton.
Uh-huh.
Man, that was funny.
He's a talent.
Like half of the ones I saw Between Two Ferns, I didn't super gravitate to my, I guess, sense of humor. But the Hillary Clinton one was hilarious.
Yeah.
I mean, to have a Trump ad in the middle of, I mean, how these politicians agree to do this, I don't know, but it was hilarious.
Well, I get a lot of FaceTime. Did you ever see the Barack Obama one?
I did.
Oh,
That one was funny too. And Brock was on top of it. He was
he was right there.
He was right there. He didn't let him get away with too much. Even though we all know it's all scripted.
Yeah.
It was still really good.
It was really, it felt very spontaneous.
So, but Between Two Thrones,
Here we are.
We have Paul Klimke,
That's me.
mortgage banker.
Yep.
With BOK Financial Mortgage.
Correct.
You are officially a CMPS. What does that stand for?
Certified Mortgage Planning Specialist.
Sounds fancy.
Pay some money, take a class, get some initials. But it's got a real practical purpose in the mortgage world, which is, typically a home mortgage is most people's largest single financial tool, investment, expense in their lifetimes. And as a CMPS, what we try to do is try to mold that into the overall financial plan, working hand in hand with financial planners that they should have. And think of it more as a tool rather than just an expense, and have that help them build personal wealth for the family.
Nice.
Yeah.
And you are also a guitarist.
Sort of, yeah.
So that's guitar and bass.
Guitar, a little bit of bass, and I play the tuba. Tuba is my main instrument, actually.
Tubas are huge, dude.
Yeah, they are.
Like you actually own a tuba?
I actually own a tuba.
Not like rented from a music store. You
No.
own a tuba.
No, you want to hear that story real fast?
Yeah. Tell me about the tuba.
So, well, let me talk a little about music in general, because music has had a huge influence on my life in many ways. So, I'm a Midwest kid, born in Minneapolis. Parents were from the same stupid little, well, I better not say Montello, Wisconsin is stupid, but it's a small town, still a small town. They actually went to the same high school, but didn't know each other because my dad was 2 years ahead of my mom, even though they're the same age, which is another long story. They met up at the University of Madison after World War II. My dad started at University of Wisconsin-Madison, went off to war in the Navy, came back, was finishing up, happened to bump into Arlene Sommerfeld on a street corner, and as they say, the rest is history. So I happened to be born. We were living in Minneapolis, moved out to California in 1960, actually, and then I ended up here through job change, which we'll get into a little bit later. But music was always a big part of my life. I always started out as a clarinet player. When I got into 7th grade, I wanted to be a drummer, and my band instructor said, "You're not going to do that. You're going to be a tuba player." And I became a tuba player. So, and all along the way, I started playing guitar, formed little garage bands as in junior high and high school, and still play somewhat to this day, mostly to recordings in my own den, but don't get out there very much. I have played tuba. I played all the way through high school. I taught tuba in college for a while, and then I didn't play for 20 years. Didn't even pick up a horn. Didn't do anything. We went to Disneyland one day, and we were sitting in the New Orleans Square, and there was a jazz quartet there, and there was a guy playing tuba for the bass. And at that point, I said, I got to have a tuba. And so I went out, found a tuba, started taking lessons. Took lessons for a couple of years to kind of get the old chops back, and played in some brass quintets. I played in some pit bands for local community orchestra or community musical productions. So it's been great. Was that the question? Did I get to it?
I don't even remember the question.
I don't remember the question either. But
I'm just so enthralled with,
Well, let me kind of talk a little bit about my family, because I actually met my wife. I've known my wife since she was in the 5th grade. I knew who she was. She has no memory of me until high school. and we were around each other a lot, which is kind of funny. So we, played clarinet in the elementary school band. We had an all-city band, and I remember I was like fourth chair, fourth clarinet, back row, and she was first clarinet, second chair. And I remember seeing her. I have some very specific memories of her. Went off to junior high. We went to the same junior high, and in fact, we were in the same junior high marching band, although I was a year ahead of her. My dad actually took some Super 8 movies of us marching, and I'm marching with my tuba, and Debbie is literally straight in front of me, right in front of me. And when I talk to her about these times in junior high, she does not remember, she has a very, very clear memory of the good-looking tuba player that sat second chair. I sat first chair, so it wasn't me. So that was Wayne sitting next to me in second chair. I was first chair. But so then I go to high school. I'm in high school a year longer, and then we go to band camp. And as the saying goes, one day at band camp, Debbie and I run into each other, start the conversation. She's 15 and I'm 16 at this time. We went to a parade. Still weren't, just kind of around each other. We went to a parade at Seal Beach, and during the awards ceremony, she couldn't see. And she weighed all of about 85 pounds then. Picked her up on my shoulders. She was able to see the presentation, and pretty soon we're holding hands and kissing. And yeah. And then didn't get married until I was out of my undergrad. Got married when I was in grad school, and she finished college. So yeah, music brought us together, and there you go.
So how long have you been married?
We just celebrated our 47th wedding anniversary.
47 years.
47 years. And on October 25th, it will be the 53rd anniversary of our first date. So now you can all do the math. I've told you how old I was. Yes, I'm definitely in that category, but I don't feel like I'm a senior citizen.
Oh, that is amazing. Just to hear the stories of people who've stayed together that long.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so rare, but it's beautiful. It's amazing. So congratulations.
Well, thank you. It's I think about it as just amazing that she picked me. It really is, because I can't even imagine the life I'd have without her. But I mean, everything that I have in my life and everything that I love in my life, including our three kids, they're all married. They're three spouses. We have 8 grandkids. I mean, it's because of her. Every bit of it, because of her.
That's awesome.
Yeah, she is.
Shout out to Debbie.
Hey.
So that was in the past.
Yep.
Now, what brought you out to Arizona?
So my undergraduate, all my educational work is in economics, econometrics, and math. So I was kind of a math geek. In college, I was, one of these guys sitting in the computer center basement punching IBM cards. There's a flash from the past, because that's how we had to put things into the computer back then. And so that was my focus, my interest. I actually I thought what I wanted to do was get a graduate degree in economics and maybe teach. When I graduated, I was out of money and I had to take a job. And I had also, during my college years, during the summer, I worked as an electrician and mechanic in a metal plating factory. So I was pretty good with my hands and technology and that sort of thing. And I landed a job as a sales application engineer with a company that did process controls and automation. So my job in that world is to meet, it's a sales job. You're a sales engineer, applications engineer, industrial engineer. Those are sales jobs, because you're meeting with people that have a need. For example, Starkist Tuna was one of my accounts. So
I've heard of them.
You've heard of them, yeah. So I meet with the people in Starkist Automation, and they say, we got a tuna line that needs to go this way and then that way and stop for 3 seconds, go that way, and then go here. Now, what they don't tell you is they need one line of cans to go to human and one line of cans to go to cat food. But we'll skip that for now. So I would help them design that. I would help them from a practical standpoint of, these are the relays, timers, switches that would make that happen. And then hopefully they would buy our products. That was the idea. So I started doing that because they would, number one, they paid me the best of anything I could find. They gave me a car, and I had lots of free time to go to school. So I did that. And then an opening came up over here. We were in Los Angeles. Opening came over here. Took the transfer, was able to buy a house. I won't even tell you what we paid, $40,120 for the first house. So it's a long time ago. And I started, advancing my career that way. And I continued to go to graduate school, but eventually, my career path was leading me a way that I was enjoying a lot. I did a lot of interesting things. I did that for close to 28 years. And I spent the last roughly 8.5 years in the semiconductor industry. And my last job in that area was I was the global customer manager for our company's products at the Intel account. So I had Intel sales, service, and logistics worldwide. So I did a lot of traveling. I was always traveling. Some to Ireland, that was fun. I like that. But, the semiconductor business has changed a lot. And our company basically decided to get out of the Intel business. And they said I could continue on in my role, but I'd have to either live in Asia, or I'd have to spend 2 weeks a month in Asia, or they'll give me a year's pay and I'll go away. I said, I'm in, take me, I'm out. So I did that. And I've been a real estate agent for 14 years on the side. And my middle son had graduated from ASU and had jumped into the mortgage business and was making fabulous money. And so I said, I think I can do that. And so off I went. That's how I got into the mortgage business.
What are some of the fun things that you've come across what are some of the happy stories on your path in the last 20 years in the loan industry?
I make the comparison between engineering and mortgage, because when you're dealing with engineering, you're dealing with basically numbers, problems, and people. Mortgages, home financing, numbers, problems, and people. It's really the same thing. It's both of them are putting a big puzzle together, and I like doing that. The really great things are when you can help somebody and improve their life and improve their family's life. I have this, in my quote elevator speech, I have a phrase that I talk about. Home is important. Home is critical. Home is where memories are made and character is developed. And having your own home to do that is far superior than having one that you don't own. So the times that I've been able to, help people that were, that couldn't figure out how to get into a house on their own, and I'm able to provide a path to that. Or they have a tough credit problem they don't know what to do with, and I can help them solve that problem. Or they're in I've had situations where people are absolutely drowning. I had one recently where they're absolutely drowning in debt. And I managed to, do a refinance, consolidate a lot of the debt. Their monthly cash flow improved by $1,200. That's life changing.
Well, yeah.
And those are the kinds of things that I really enjoy doing and enjoy working with. And that's one of the reasons although I do have a small team that I'm working with now, but I'd rather work with a small team, which gets me to the other part of the things that I enjoy doing, which is helping people develop themselves as professionals. That's really important because, the mortgage business, if you go back to the early 2000s, when just about anybody could be you're a bartender one day and the next day you're a mortgage guy, there were no standards back then. That's always been important to me, to improve the quality of the profession. I've been very active in the trade organizations here. I was president of the Mortgage Brokers Association once. I was president of the Central Chapter once. I've been to Washington, D.C., lobbying on behalf of the mortgage industry, spent time with Jeff Flake in his office and a couple of the politicians back when a lot of the regulations were forming. The Dodd-Frank Act was happening. Elizabeth Warren was heavily involved with that. God bless her soul. I got both good and bad things to say about her, but I may be the only guy that has something really good to say about her. But excuse me. But there are a few things that, oh well. But that's, I worked, starting in 2007, I was working with the State Department of Financial Institutions on helping implement licensing requirements for loan officers, because until 2010, loan officers didn't need to be licensed. You're talking to people about their finances, you're taking in all of their identity information, things about their lives, you're collecting documents, and you didn't have to be licensed at all. So we worked and we got that implemented, and then there was a national licensing requirement that came in. So that's been important, but that's on kind of the macro level. On the micro level, I truly enjoy working with people and helping them be better loan officers, helping them better understand what they're doing, how to solve problems on their own. What do I do with this? I'll show you what to do with it, but I want to show you how you're going to find out the next time this comes up. So helping them develop, skills and techniques that really can make a difference as opposed to just slinging loans.
That's amazing. First of all, thank you for being willing to share and teach other people. That's how all professions and things move forward and we learn. So let's go to present day. So what is going on right now?
Dark clouds and Armageddon. I think when I came in here this morning, I said, do you know that today is like September 1st, 2008? You asked me why. I said, because on September 1st, 2008, rates were about 6.25%, and that's what they are this morning. Yeah. So, current state of the mortgage industry, if you look at what's happened, rate and term refi applications are down 85% from 1 year ago. It's just, it's very unusual to do one of those unless there are still people that have, believe it or not, I still run into people that have 7-8% rates out there once in a while that they just never got around to fixing it. But that's very, very rare. Cash out refi applications are pretty much stable because cash out usually involves some sort of payoff or something that you're doing, and it doesn't seem to be as influenced by rates quite as much. They're down, but it's, if you watch the line over time, it just kind of oscillates up and down a little bit. Purchase loans are down 23% year on year today, as of yesterday, actually. So, we're seeing there's a massive decline in the industry. We're seeing companies shutting down. Caliber Home Loans, which I worked for 3 years a while back, they've completely pulled out of Arizona and a couple other states, just done. I have heard, but I haven't seen it solidly confirmed, that there's another major company that's been around. I don't want to throw the name out there because I don't know for sure. Solid company. Many people in the business have spent time there. Great people, family business. Heard they've shut down. Their website's dead and nothing's happening. So You're going to see more of that. And the reason for that is a lot of the big mortgage companies, if you're strictly a mortgage bank, where all you do is mortgages, you do mortgages, you sell them off, you're operating only on the margin that you can make on the loan itself. And with some of these expenses, some of these companies have, they have 25,000, 30,000 square feet of office space that nobody's in anymore. And, it's $100,000 a month nut. It's pretty hard to make it. So you're going to see a lot of changes there. As I see the mortgage business shaking out, I think that you're going to see continued growth of the broker. We're seeing, there was a general trend of brokers increasing and coming back because it's 1- and 2-man shops that can operate very efficiently. And yes, they make money only on the loan, but they don't need to make all that much money. And they can be profitable and make a good living and have a good life. The other people that are going to survive are companies like BOK Financial. All right. So BOK Financial is the mothership, is the Bank of Oklahoma. That's our mothership. We are a full-service FDIC bank. We operate in 8 states, primarily in the Midwest, East, and Southwest. But, if you looked at our contribution to profit last year, it was huge. It's been huge. This year, it's not so much. But we're a good, solid bank with lots of ways to make money so we can endure. So you'll see, I think that's what you're going to see. I think you see the real strong mortgage companies are going to be the regional banks. BOK, Bell Bank is another good bank. Guardian, which is part of Sunflower Bank. I think these are all really solid banks on their own. They're going to survive, and you're going to see mortgage brokers survive. You're going to see a lot of change in the correspondence. So,
wow. So me as a homeowner, just say I'm a homeowner that's listening to this. Any quick advice that you'd have? When you start a conversation, Armageddon, doom and gloom. What advice do you have for a homeowner looking to you for a loan?
Sure. This is where, excuse me. This is where the planning becomes really, really, really important. So let's talk about purchase. Let's kind of go through a couple of different scenarios, different opportunities. Purchase loans. The purchase business in the Valley and many places, not just here, has been changed because we had such low rates for such a long time. I mean, 6 months ago or beginning of the year, rates were just in the threes, and now we're 6.25. That's massive. But they were so low for so long that it changed what the affordability was for people. They could afford more expensive houses. So when you can afford more expensive houses, what happens over time naturally is houses get bid up because people can afford it. That's why, year on year, 2020 to 2021, the median house price of a home in Maricopa County went up about from like 380 to 460 in 1 year. But what happens when rates go up? They're not as affordable. Now people can't afford the houses. So, I think I'm going to skew the numbers a little bit, but in about a year ago, roughly 63% of the families could afford a single family 3 to 4 bedroom house, 2,000 square feet. Now that number is about 23% of the families in Maricopa County can do that. So that changes the business. That changes who can afford what and what they can do. The thing is, you have to compare. The good news, if it's good, is rents have been going up too. So the comparison should always be, what does it cost me to rent? What does it cost me to buy? If I can afford to buy, I should buy. Now that may mean smaller homes, maybe not as much amenities, maybe not the same neighborhood you thought you could live in. But if you're doing it's never a bad time to buy your first house. Well, of course, maybe unless it was 2007, but I digress.
Well, and it still wasn't a bad time even in 2007.
Yeah.
You just had to live there
right.
until I think 2016 is about when all the prices came back.
Yeah.
But it still wasn't a bad time to buy.
No.
You just had to hold it for
a longer time,
6 to 8 years.
So that, and again, it's, work with the mortgage professional that can help you talk about what can you afford, how can you afford it. There are still programs out there, for low and moderate income families to get into homes where you can get what are now called mortgage credit certificates, where you can get a credit towards your payment on a monthly basis. That's out there. There is some down payment assistance out there still, not as much as there was. But it's important to work with a professional that knows what they're doing, that can get you into the right product. So that's, be careful with that. The other thing I would say is, if you're in a home right now, and there's lots of people in homes with, 2.5%, 3.5% mortgages. If you need cash, the way to do that is with a home equity loan. There are lots of companies out there that do home equity loans. We do them. And actually, we have a really great product. We have a couple of different products that are very unique. I'm probably the only guy in the Valley that will do a home equity loan for somebody with a 635 FICO score. Usually you got to be at 700 to get an equity line. I can do them. And we can help, design a custom loan for you. I can tease, I actually have a 100% LTV program, but it's like this wide, it's for very small situation. I never sold one because I can't find anybody that fits, but I got one. So yay me. But that's really, you got to be thinking long term. You got to think about, okay, so what do I need right now? If I need $100,000, heck, if you need $40,000 cash, don't even think about doing a cash out refinance unless you have to for some reason. There are situations, I'm working on one right now that's a divorce situation. The only way for the one spouse to cash the other out of the house is to do a cash out refinance mortgage. He's going to go from 4% to 6.25% to do it. He can afford it, fortunately. But there's a case, where a home equity line isn't going to work for that. But for anything else, a home equity line is the way to go, because then you can look at your blended rate, and that's where you take you look at the amount that you owe, the rate it's at for both loans, compare them together, and figure out what's your blended rate. So if you have $400,000 at 3, and you need $100,000, and you're going to pay maybe 6.5 for it on an equity line, your blended rate is maybe 4, which is still pretty good.
Which is awesome.
Yeah. So be careful. So.
Got it. Well, Paul,
are we out of time already?
We are almost there.
Wow.
So I've got one more super critical question to ask
Sure.
you. Did you open for Van Halen?
Well, yes, in a way. It's one of those stories that I can tell, and depending upon how much information you want, and kind of like the old Paul Harvey rest of the story, Yes, in a sense, but let me take you back long ago and far away. As I mentioned, I played in numerous, makeup garage bands, that sort of thing. We actually had a name of Paul and the Persuaders. You like that? How about that?
I like it.
Very 60s. But yes, if you consider that my little stupid group that we could play about 3 or 4 songs. We played at a teen center one night, the same night, no money, nothing, just you got to play. And the same night that another group coming along named Mammoth was playing there. And Mammoth later became Van Halen. So, but I actually have a deeper connection to them too, which is their bass player is a guy named Mike Anthony. His real name is Mike Sibileski. He and I played in the same band together. That's a fact. Yeah, we did. Same band. The Arcadia, California High School Marching Band. So, yeah.
So is this where I ask for your autograph?
No, don't bother. It's not worth anything. Unless I put it on a check, and then who knows if it's good.
There we go.
Well,
Paul, thank you for joining us.
Well, thank you for this chance. I appreciate it.
If someone would like to get in touch with you,
Sure.
What is the best way to do that?
Call me. That's the best way. You can, of course, Google me for, Paul Klimke, Klimke at BOK Financial. You can find me online pretty easily. I do have a Facebook page, BOK Financial, Paul Klimke, or BOK Financial Arizona. You'll find me on Facebook. My phone number has been the same number I've had for like forever. Verizon says usually when I call in, they go, "You've had your number longer than most people have been alive," But it's 602-402-1801. Again, 602-402-1801. Give me a call.
And how's the traffic?
KPXQ radio time is 7:28.
That was pretty good.
Yeah, not bad.
I have to retire now. You've got a better voice. So, well, thank you for joining us.
I appreciate it very much,
Thank you
Tony.
for informing us about the mortgage industry. And we'll talk to you soon.
Anytime.